So on the last episode of Wild Child, we had dolphins keep us company as we slowly made our way into the Charleston harbor. So even though it was mid-afternoon when we arrived yesterday, we were pretty tired. We just dropped the hook and had called it a day. Well, good morning, sailor fans. Let's see. It's Thursday, December 6th. Of course, all of North America is having the earliest and worst winter ever. There's snowstorms coming to North Carolina. There's snowstorms coming to North Carolina and Virginia, which we just left North Carolina. It'll be, above freezing here, 50 Fahrenheit it said on the news. So I think, I don't know, what's that, like 10 Celsius or something. We got the generator running to have the space heater down here because it was cold when we woke up this morning. So we're in Charleston, South Carolina. Yay! One of the things that I couldn't resist on the chart plotter is that there's an aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, that's like a floating museum that you can pay as a tourist to go in and see. Apparently there's also a submarine beside it as well that you can go in and visit. So we are going to suck it up and pay for marina. So the Charleston Harbor Marina is right beside the floating museums. So we came into Charleston Harbor yesterday morning. Anchor up! With the anchor up, we motored a mile and a half over to the Charleston Harbor Resort Marina. Even though it's going to cost $200 for one night, it's attached right beside the museums at Patriots Point. And I so want to see the museums. Good morning, Charleston Harbor Marina. This is the sailing vessel Wild Child. Come in, please.
Good morning, Captain. What can I do for you?
Good morning. We called yesterday for a reservation. It's a blue 3/8-foot sailboat with an 8-foot draft. We are approaching your marina now. I was wondering if I could get this all the time. The guy in the radio keeps calling me sir because it's inconceivable that the captain of a vessel could be a woman. I know I have a rough sounding voice, but even when I correct them and tell them I'm a woman, they still say sir. The landing in the current was a bit dicey, but eventually I pulled it off successfully. It's a pretty crowded marina with lots of boats there. But look, what's that in the distance? There's the aircraft carrier that I'm very excited to check out. And did you see that German flag on that Beneteau there? We found our friends, Sonia and Henno, on board the vessel Agape. After sitting with them for an hour and swapping stories, we made plans together to go visit the museums. We don't bring them Yeehaw! I'm so excited we're finally here. Sailing fans, we are in Charleston, South Carolina with Wild Child, and we could not pass up the opportunity to tour an aircraft carrier, a destroyer, a submarine, a Vietnam exhibit. It's just so cool. Where else can you go to a marina and tour stuff like this? It's fabulous.
You know what? Everybody says that.
Great. We're Canadian, so they associate us with cold, so everybody blames the Canadians. And we're happy to get the blame to the Germans.
You like that?
Now I know you don't watch our sailing channel to watch us tour museums, so I'm going to do this stuff sort of quickly and in fast forward. We have like an hour of footage of this, but I'll condense it for you guys. Seeing how tight and cramped the quarters were that all of these submarine Navy men had to live in gave me a greater appreciation for how much room I have on Wild Child. I wasn't going to complain about lack of space anymore. Look at how many men lived on this submarine.
America produces an answer for the future. The atom-powered
I have to give credit to the people that set up the exhibits and the floating museums. They're really well done. Like, it's very interesting and there's a lot of information.
With increased
And who could resist touring a destroyer?
Test complete. Please proceed to the number 2 engine room.
Good.
Well, the good news is the destroyer people seem to have a lot more living room than those poor submarine people.
There you go. She found her seat.
The animated war room exhibit was one of the coolest exhibits I've ever
Very
seen.
dangerous game they're playing with us.
New targeting solutions calculated. Mark 46 torpedoes. Ready.
Sonar contact on course. 130, 6 knots, 11,000 yards. Turning away, sir.
Bridge combat. Sonar contact 130, 6 knots, 11,000 yards.
Sonar contact 130, 6 knots, 11,000 yards, range 5.
That was close. It looks like now he's decided to increase the distance between us and him, as he's changed course and speed to open range.
We really didn't have enough time to tour everything properly and slowly, but after touring the destroyer, it was time to see the aircraft carrier. We've sailed from Niagara Falls, Canada. You never know where you're going to meet really amazing human beings, and the lady at the information desk on the aircraft carrier was a really cool person. 100-year storms, like perfect storms. The Atlantic Ocean has been mean, so all the sailors coming south are all getting out.
I can believe it. Are you headed to the
Again, the exhibits on the aircraft carrier are just amazing. This place is so cool and it is so well done. It's totally worth the visit.
Yeah.
And how cool is it to be able to hang out on an aircraft carrier deck and see and touch some of these cool planes that were actually used by the US military. There's even an interactive display inside the Apollo 8 space capsule. How cool is that?
It's what's so funny to hear Sonia screaming.
Across the walkway, they even had a Vietnam exhibit, which was included in your admission ticket. The exhibits really get you thinking about how war has affected the American culture, gotten into the American psyche. It was an interesting interesting day and it gave me a lot to think about. But it's time for these sailors to return to the marina. We have laundry to do. And the nice thing about a marina is free access to drinking water. So we borrowed the neighbor's hose to fill our water tanks. And then we went up and got the laundry done. So this is life on board a boat. We spent the day at Charleston Harbor, had a lovely time being tourists. Michelle went up and got all the laundry done, so he is now folding laundry and going to put our wet bed back together. It's all been dried out.
It's a dry bed now.
It's now a dry bed, but we're not sure for how long. Lexi in the kitchen. This is our freezer that we made. And it was all frosted up, but I used the electric heat gun because we have shore power at the moment, and I defrosted it and I sterilized it. I moved all of the frozen stuff into the refrigeration and put a towel over them for the hour I spent. We've got this turned back on now. Plate is cold, no damage was done to the plate. We just got to refreeze it in there, fill it with cold stuff, and while I'm doing this break and bad stuff happens on boats all the time, we have water leaking on our floor. And there's a water tank under there, a very expensive $2,000 custom-made water tank, and it's leaking like a sieve. So we just filled the water today. We filled the water a few hours ago, and now we must have a leaking plumbing fitting because the water is just filling up, dripping down there, and dripping into the bilge. The frustrating beyond all reason part of this problem is that to get access to the plumbing fittings, we have to rip apart the salon bench. So to rip apart the salon bench, we have to remove all the canned food from in here, and it's absolutely full. Then this whole panel comes off. Then the panel over the water tank on that bench can come out. So now all of this stuff has to go in all the lots of space we have on the boat. See, no space. And now we have to fill all of that half of the boat onto that half of the boat to give Lexi room to work on that side fixing the plumbing. And it's 8:30 at night and I'm tired and I wanted to relax, and instead I'm going to rip my boat apart to do plumbing because that's life on a boat. Is there any eject button on this? Can someone rescue me? How can I get out of this? Boat life, what are you gonna do? So as the sun set, the two of us worked into the night to repair the leak.
We need to unscrew this there. After that, over the tank.
I suppose the only good part of this story is that Captain Lexi is the girl that can fix or build anything. That's mold. Look at that. That's disgusting.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah.
And maintenance on a boat. So we get water coming out in the floor. We assume water would be coming from the water tank. Now this is the big $2,000 custom built bad boy we have made. And the fittings on this end, I figured maybe the fittings must have come loose, but you can see I used 5200 and clamp seals, and I'm just doing a paper towel test on that one there. On the other side, there's a crossfill valve. So one of the things, I'm checking all the fittings, but you can see when I put them in, I did 5200 and I clamped them, and I used the heat gun. It's hard for you to see here, but I'm doing a paper towel test around this fitting just to make sure. This is the main output of the water system going into the sinks and stuff, but the paper towel is dry. But when I reach down, there's water down in here, and this water would be coming from the kitchen, and it's probably running along So this fitting is dry, this fitting is dry, this one is dry, but there's water down here. We just did a defrost on the freezer on the other side of this wall, and the freezer has a drain, and I put the drain through a tubing to go into the bilge. But it's possible when it was installed, that tubing may have come loose, and the water from the freezer, rather than go through the drain and into the floor and into the bilge like it's supposed to, if that tubing drain in the freezer wasn't connected, then that water from there just went along here, ran along the edge, and then is leaking out. So the good news is it's not our main water supply system is fine. The bad news is any water in the freezer is going to drain out, and the good news is it's a very limited amount, like probably just a couple of cups, and then we should be able to get it dried. We can put all this back together. Well, that was a lot of work to tear it apart just to find out it's not the problem. And that's life on a boat.